Hello, welcome to episode 2 of season 2. I'm so excited for this episode. If I'm remembering correctly, this is one of the episodes that they didn't get to film in the last half of season 1. So when I first heard about this episode last year, I was so excited for it. It incorporates a lot of elements that I really love. But we're getting it this season, and I'm so excited. We get to see Christian Borle as Friar Pete. I'm thrilled for that. Also, the filming location is beautiful, and the plot sounds really interesting. I'm very excited to see what happens in this episode. All of the previews for this episode have been really interesting. It looks like we're gonna get some really cool moments, so I'm excited for that.
Prodigal Son starts in 3, 2, 1.
Suggested dialogue, language, and violence.
Anything you'd like to share?
Well, I'm speechless. I had no idea we had such a Casanova in our midst. Hector?
And you want me to go up?
Well, that much is clear.
Actually, Martin, I was asking if you'd like to share about yourself. This is your first session back, and you seem preoccupied. So tell us, how are you doing?
I'm, good.
Really?
Well, I suppose I am a little worried about my boy.
What are you... Why haven't you been seeing your therapist?
Oh.
Nice ambush. I'm worried. I haven't gotten a bill from Gabrielle in months.
You pay my therapy bills?
Darling, I've been paying that woman for over 20 years, and let's just say at her rates, she has nothing to be depressed about.
I've taken a break from therapy.
What happened? Whatever it is, you can tell me, even if it is sexual in nature.
It's nothing, really.
What?
And how is your life?
Oh, man. Both my kids are in such a good place.
No, they're absolutely not.
I've never felt prouder. Just the life of a serial killer's son. It's just like a roller coaster. He's in a tricky spot, my son. There are things troubling him that he buries deep inside. What? You wouldn't understand.
I'm married to your father. Child.
These feelings, are building up. No way to get out.
Mother, I know you want to, but you can't help me.
Well, surely there is someone on this earth that you can talk to.
You only got me. Your old dad.
Which is exactly what Martin wants too.
Why are you calling me? My boy! Dad, how's my little hero doing today?
Let's see. He barely recognizes himself anymore because of what he's done.
His dreams are a horrible stuck on repeat.
And the only person he can talk to about it is a narcissistic psychopath.
Fun.
Not fun.
I think Mother is starting to sense something.
She probably thinks it's sexual in nature.
I'm not talking about this.
Well, I know you're not, and that's the problem. Come visit.
So quiet around here. Oh, and I have news.
As of today, I have access to the yard. Oh, it's all very exciting. Sunscreen, yard fights.
I have to go.
He got all his books back.
You do.
Take it
Ooh, that's not.
What are you doing?
Setting the table.
No.
Oh my god. Are these... Is this what you used?
Family silver? No, I'm just shocked at the sight of you doing chores.
Not hysterical.
This dress.
It is strange though. How little I remember from that night. I remember being there. He was there. You showed up. And then there's a gap.
That's dissociative amnesia. It's one of the ways your brain protects you from a trauma.
Cool. Let's talk about something a million times more fun. I'm moving back to my apartment.
Did Mom freak out?
No, which actually freaked me out. Malcolm, I am so glad that you're here. Your sister has mountains of clothes to move, and I am in charge of boxes.
You were helping her move?
Of course. I wanted to help her. Just like I wanted to help you.
Okay. What is it? Something's changed.
She stopped playing the piano too.
Oh, is there still vodka in your orange juice?
All right, enough. What exactly do you two think you're doing? Isn't it obvious? We're meddling. Please, I don't meddle. I mother.
It's
This
the same thing.
sudden interest in our well-being wouldn't have anything to do with you and a certain lieutenant, would it?
Gil? What, you and Gil? Oh, are you mad? No.
Yes.
There's absolutely nothing going on with me and Gil.
I don't believe you.
Well, it's Gil. Ask him about Mom. Does he let you wear his turtlenecks? Not a word. By the NYPD will be investigating your murder next.
I like the beard stain.
I've been calling. How are you? I'm fine. Stop fighting, boy! Busy. You sure? When I say I'm fine, I'm always lying.
I don't want to talk about it. I got enough on my mind with this creepy ass case.
This is the Catholic way. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Oh my god. So good.
Morning. It's beautiful in here.
Beautiful church. Beautiful.
Except for this. Thanks.
Oh, watch it, right? Restraints. Holy water. Crucifix. I'm not religious, but this is...
Ritualistic. Look at us. Finishing each other's sentences, even from here.
The victim is Father Ramon Reyes, 56. He's been at the church for 30 years.
This is amazing. He's been expertly examined.
Yo, this is Sister Agnes. She found the body and called 911.
I'm sorry, sister. Can you walk us through what happened?
I'd been assisting Professor Shaw with the restoration of the cathedral paintings. I was downstairs, and then when I came up, I saw this evil.
Sister Agnes, did Father Reyes perform exorcisms?
Seriously, Fred?
This is the rite of exorcism.
Yeah.
And it's well used. Pretty sure this is our victim's blood, so answer the question, sister.
I can't talk about this.
That's not a no.
Oh,
Not
They
no.
left a note. The blood, it makes a symbol.
Ooh.
What does it say?
That's fun.
Looks like Hebrew or...
Aramaic. It says Abaddon.
Abaddon the Destroyer, Angel of the Abyss from Revelations. So now we know our killer's name. Who is it? Oh, you know. The devil.
Prodigal Son.
Ooh.
After this Fox fast break.
I'm already loving everything I've seen from this episode so far. And maybe I'm just looking at it through like rose-colored glasses, but it's so good. I love how it opened with Martin's therapist questioning him and Jessica questioning Malcolm. I love how Ainsley has no clue what's going on, which is actually pretty accurate. One of the classes I just finished taking was called Memory and the Law, and we talked a little bit about dissociative amnesia and like how it does like happen like during traumatic events, like you'll just forget it. So her not remembering, like, even though it doesn't make sense, like it makes sense from like a legal and like medical standpoint. Also, the church is such a gorgeous cathedral, and like the murder, it was set up so good. Also, I don't understand why the sister wouldn't talk about it though, because she could say like, oh yeah, he was an exorcist, like that's allowed. Like you can't really talk about like what happens within the rites, But like talking and be like, oh yeah, father was an exorcist. I loved Gil correcting Malcolm from saying like holy shit or something like that. Phenomenal.
This is all so Catholic.
It's insane.
Did you know Father Ray as well, Professor Shaw?
Well, just in passing. Call me Jonah.
You're not a member of the church?
Well, no. I'm a conservator. Preserving the paintings was his dragons. We've been working on the Madonna and Child the past few months.
Did you know he was an exorcist?
I see people come and go. Hear things.
Excuse us. Archbishop Argento?
Officers, thank you for being here.
Archbishop
I was
Shaw?
just hurt. We're very sorry for your loss. I'm overcome. But we must trust
Should have
that
gotten
faith.
Archbishop
Let's find the light.
to actually
Outside of
cameo.
faith alone, we're going to need to see Father Reyes' records. Every person he exorcised is a suspect up to this point. I'm sorry, but I can't discuss Father Reyes' work or share his records. They contain our parishioners' confidential information. You understand?
We do, Your Eminence. Thank you.
What was that? The Archbishop just obstructed justice, and you thanked him for it.
It's called establishing a rapport, right? It's the way things get done, especially with the church. Have a little faith, okay?
Nietzsche said that faith means not wanting to know the truth.
Nietzsche. Kid, what is going on in that head of yours?
Nothing. I'm fine.
Can you give me the profile?
Right. Consistent wounds speak to a methodology. And the bloodletting, this killer was performing a ritual of his own. Obviously, our demon did not want to be exorcised.
We're not looking for a real demon.
No, but what if our killer identifies as one? They could be suffering from possession trance disorder. It's a kind of dissociative disorder. The symptoms present like possession.
How does bloodletting figure into this?
I'm not sure. Not yet. But I do know another killer who let his victim die.
This is one of the promo clips.
Trust. I'm so glad you came.
Smells like urine.
Oh, that'll be the urine. Shall we? So tell me, son, how are you?
I love the
You've
volleyball
gone through
tether.
quite a change.
I wouldn't call it that.
Where have I heard that before? As I recall, we were on a stroll just like this when I first explained birds and the bees. Oh, you were shocked at the changes your
Are
body.
you going to help me with my case or not?
I can do more than help. After you called, I had a splendid idea. Now, we have so many special minds here. Why not call in an expert?
Who was that?
Friar Pete. Oh, he was ejected from his monastery for extreme views, and then went on a killing spree.
Christian.
The Friar of Flames. I brought him on to consult.
Wonderful.
It's so good. It's so good.
Care to confess your sins?
Oh, that's a marvelous
Yes, he
idea.
does.
You two should
Yes,
talk.
he does.
I'm trying to solve a murder. An exorcist was killed, bled to death. Our medical examiner counted 44 precise incisions. It's an ominous number, 40. Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness fending off the devil. As for 4,
Well, that's the fourth humors, considering the cuts. How about Hans von Gersdorf?
of course. Hans von who?
Gersdorf, 16th century surgeon, who determined the 44 points by which a human would best be bled.
He goes into great detail in his field guide to surgery. The illustrations are lovely. No, medicine has nothing to do with it. The killer is obsessed with ritual. Catholic ritual.
I'm surprised you don't see the connection. Well, they used to go hand in hand.
For centuries, exorcisms were prescribed to patients suffering from the bubonic plague, mental illness, lead poisoning. Guys, the victim didn't die 600 years ago. There's no connection between exorcism and medicine today. Not true. The state of the church can't perform a rite without permission.
Well, isn't that helpful? Punish him from whom, Friar Pete?
A physician, Dr. Whitman.
Beautiful house.
So, can you believe Gil got the Archbishop to open up his files? A Catholic neurologist recommended his patient see Father Reyes as a last resort. This isn't about evil. It's about a sickness.
The doctor said his patient, Norman, is untreatable. Violent, disturbed, and possessed. Sounds plenty evil to me. How long has Norman lived up here, man?
5 years now.
She's so creepy. I
He
love
wanted his own space. We agreed it was for the best.
Does he take any medication?
Not anymore.
the Edwardian progressive era hairstyle on her is stunning.
Norman? It's Mother. You have visitors. Can they come in, Norman?
All right, Mother.
I'm terrified. Stop, Salt. Oh my god.
Whatever you do, stay inside the lines.
Oh, Malcolm's terrible at that. And a skeleton key? I'm it's so much more than everything I thought it would be. I'm thrilled. The moment between JT and Malcolm was really, it felt like very grounded because Malcolm was like trying to not extend an olive branch, but find like a common ground. And while similar, it's dissimilar. But I appreciate that Malcolm was like looking out for JT and oh my god. Christian and Michael play off each other so well. They have the kind of vibes of like parents or adults who like know that like the child isn't getting something, and so they're like patronizing the child. It was so good. Like, oh, like, who does the church need permission from? And Malcolm's just sitting there like, oh shit, now there's two of them. It's brilliant. That's the piano.
Hi, Norman. I'm Malcolm. This is JT.
So,
Mother said you were coming. Good. We're trying to find out who killed Father Reyes. Do you know anything about that? When was the last time you saw each other?
Last week, he came to the house.
Do you ever go and see him? If I lived up here, I'd sneak out that window all the time.
No. No, there's no salt out there. Father Reyes told me I had to stay here. The salt keeps him out.
who?
The demon. Father Reyes shouts at him, but still, he finds me.
And what does Father Reyes shout?
Excuse me. I have to practice.
He's gotta be the guy, right? I'm not sure. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Norman believes he's possessed. No, you really don't, right?
So good.
Right. Do you have a favorite hymn? I know you are near.
See? Nothing happened.
There was a fountain filled with blood. Hail Mary, gentle.
No.
I knew it was you.
You're a demon.
Not a
I could smell it on you the moment you walked in. You're like me. That's why you came here.
What do you mean I'm like you?
You're a killer too. I did it. I killed him. Right back.
It's okay. Why did you kill Reyes?
He wanted out, but it doesn't want out. He's in my blood. He's in your blood. Malcolm Bright, always crossing the line.
JT called from the hospital. Norman's sedated. Does he remember confessing?
Probably not. Norman suffers from recurrent identity disturbances, voice changes, memory loss.
Okay. Now what the hell do you have? JT told us what happened. You provoked Norman.
I provoked Norman to test a theory.
That he's the killer? Norman ticks a lot of boxes. Father Reyes performed exorcisms on him for a year. There's plenty of time for him to learn that Aramaic.
And time to develop motive. It tracks.
It doesn't.
Are you serious? JT said the guy went full Linda Blair.
That's the problem. When I crossed the line of salt, it triggered Norman. He became frenzied, out of control. Father Reyes' murder displayed total control.
44 precise incisions.
Right. If Norman was triggered by Father Reyes' exorcism, he couldn't perform the bloodletting.
So we're looking for a possessed person with a steady hand?
How does somebody learn medieval bloodletting?
I know that. They read the manual.
The hell is this?
My father gave it to me. Hans von Gersdorff's Field Guide to Surgery from 1517. It's the how-to for the system of bloodletting our killer used. He must have read it. I know it sounds insane.
For this case, not really. I mean, I interviewed a nun who knows Aramaic.
Maybe she knows something about this too.
There it is, all packed and ready to go. I couldn't have done it without you. Oh, well. What now? We could order dinner, watch a movie, mix a cocktail, and talk. The moving, the meddling. When you're upset, you keep busy. You're distracting yourself. Oh, that's absurd. What on earth would I have to distract myself from? Gil. I checked your phone. 7 missed calls from me. I can't believe you. Okay, I should have snooped, but something is clearly going on and we're just not going to talk about it?
We're wasps. It's what we do.
Oh,
We're what?
Gil. Just talk to him.
What did she say? What did she say?
I would. After I have one final night with my very wise daughter.
Mr. Agnes,
Yes?
sorry to interrupt. The Archbishop said we can find him. Are you familiar with this book?
I don't think so. Why?
I think the killer was using it for inspiration. He believed that Father Reyes had evil
You're troubled. Prayer helps you.
Therapy, prayers, pills, what's the difference?
God. Whatever burdens you, give it to Him. He will carry it for you.
No one can carry this. Over here!
You have to tell them
Tell them what?
what you did. You can't keep it a secret. They'll find out. They're detectives. We have to fix this. You know what that would do?
Not like that. Not again.
You have evil inside you.
That so good.
Yeah. We noticed.
Why are you wearing body armor?
Because you fell asleep? Your nightmares are kind of epic.
Tell me about it.
The entire scene in I'm calling it the attic, where Norman lived, was so good. I don't know why the salt was laid out in that design. It looked like a topographic map where like it shows elevation, but like it didn't look like any like language script or anything to me, or like a sigil. So I don't know what like the point of it was, besides like don't step over it. But the actor who played Norman, the way he like contorted his face and changed his voice, so dynamic. It lent itself really well to like the demon like fronting, I guess. Well, yeah, fronting. And then Jessica and Gil, makes you sad. But Ainsley just like, I'm like, oh, you went through your phone. You have 7 missed calls. Reminds me a lot of whatever episode it was in season 1 of the earlier ones, when Malcolm got bit by that snake and he wakes up in the hospital and he's like, let me see how many missed calls you have. And they were like 40 of them from Dad. So I like that she's been very consistent with like ignoring people's like personal boundaries and property to like just find the answers that she wants. Malcolm's nightmare was really good. From him being like, oh, like prayer doesn't work, like I need therapy, and then the sister turning into Ainsley, like so it goes from like a religious sister to like his actual sister, and both of them telling him he needs to confess. Oh, it's so good. This is everything. Just, I mean, I'm sure there are issues with the episode, but like I currently cannot see them. There's also a lot, and like this is just like humans like finding patterns, so I'm seeing things that probably aren't there. But there's a lot of course now that I'm talking about it, I can't remember it, but there's a lot of like phrases, I guess, or like elements that I've seen a lot, like talking to my friends about Prodigal Son, and to see them pop up, it's really funny, because it's like, oh no, like among us, like which one of you is the imposter, which one of you works for the show?
Don't let things shake out.
What things?
Look, I know you got my back. But what about them? You think they'll play nice if I file a grievance about a fellow cop? I'm about to be a father and I'm already looking over my shoulder now. If I escalate this, who's to say things don't get worse? You think I'm wrong?
Can I be straight? I don't know. Nothing about this is right.
You good, boss? Been checking that phone extra today.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. Sometimes you gotta wait.
driving me home. Can't believe I fell asleep.
You're welcome. Though you might want to work on your light reading choices.
The book was not in my dream. That nun was Sister Agnes, which was weird.
Are you sure you're not into this religious stuff? Don't fool me.
Come on. No one captures the destitution of the soul like Goya.
It's creepy, right?
Well, Goya was actually quite the romantic.
Okay, that was cute.
Of course, he went insane. All the best artists did. Their work destroyed them.
Are you any different? Been on edge lately?
Yeah.
Even for you. Want to talk about it?
I'm fine. Really. How about you? It's bad out there.
It's always bad. Difference is people are paying attention. It's like they just realize that the world is racist and cops target black people. JT made him get a pass. And I swear this job is gonna kill me. Like your painter.
Goya? Well, the job didn't kill him. It was the lead in the paint.
Here we go.
Where is it?
Lead poisoning in the paint causes dementia, paranoia, symptoms that manifest like possession.
Sister Agnes, the professor, they're restoring old paintings.
We have to get to the cathedral now.
Archbishop Argento?
I can't believe you're here. We were just about to call.
What happened?
Sister Agnes, she didn't show up for work today.
Professor Shaw, the Madonna that you've been restoring, are you in contact with lead white paint?
Yes, but we wear masks and gloves.
Why? I don't understand.
Sister Agnes could be suffering from paranoid delusions brought on by lead poisoning.
She thinks she's possessed.
What was that?
Came from the crypt. But we're the only people here.
Right? Stay with them, Danny. JT with me. Let's go.
She's gonna go after the man she's working with and the man she's working for. What's funny is that last episode I was like, oh, I should look up the painting. And then this episode we talk about the painting. So it's a Goya painting. And that entire scene between Danny and Malcolm, I loved it. Because it showed that there's like a romantic interest, but like it stopped there. Because like Malcolm is in no place to be in any romantic relationship right now. And they definitely both are aware of that. So I'm happy that like we got that scene. We got like, oh, he was like a romantic and Danny like blushed and looked away and it was very cute. But then like he took the opportunity of like him somewhat being vulnerable with her to be like, hey, are you okay? All of her lines were really like heartfelt, and for both of them to feel like their job is killing them was like a really poignant way of saying that like both of them are struggling. I thought that was like really well done, and it like definitely like grabs you and was like, hey, listen, like both of them aren't okay. The lead paint is really funny because lead paint really did make people go insane. Like lead and mercury, so like mercury for hatters, and like lead is a hatter mercury, and like a lot of artists did go insane from like the chemicals in their paints. But I think it's funny that it's the sister and not the professor. I don't know why I thought it would be the professor, but also like a murderous nun sounds fun. Them walking around with the statues is that was Madonna. Oh my god.
Jordan, she's going to be okay.
I taught her. I taught her how to handle the pain. I did.
It's feeling culpable.
Back up. Detective Carmel, we need backup at 2617 Mott Street. Do you copy? Come in.
Who's this?
Carmel, major crimes.
This is a police channel. Impersonating a cop is a minor offense. Detective Carmel.
Lead poisoning. I didn't expect that. Poor Agnes.
Tell me, Your Grace. Do exorcisms ever work?
In some cases, yes. Although, I don't take you for a believer.
I wish. I really do. To say the power of Christ compels you, and what's wrong disappears, would make my life so much easier.
Nothing's ever easy. Forget the prayers and the rites. Priests spend most of their time listening. Anything you want to discuss?
That's a much nicer way to do that. I knew it was him. Oh shit, that means it's both of them though. That's the staircase.
Boss.
Sometimes you train your gun on a nun.
It's okay.
Holy shit.
Is that the painting they've been working on?
Yeah.
Hey, Road. It's Johnny. He's the one poisoning our paint. Doctor. Need to go. Keep an eye on him. Father.
First of all, the fact that they destroyed the painting, awful. Second of all, the way the painting was destroyed, terrifying.
Mr. Dick, I need emergency phone time.
David, please, I'm winning. Boy, what's wrong?
I need you to tell me everything you know about lead poisoning. I found the killer, and he's hallucinating because of the lead paint.
Bravo, good work. Like all the grandmasters, Michelangelo, Caravaggio.
Yeah, I know that, but what I don't know is how to fix it. How can I help counteract the poison?
No. He's in a full-blown psychotic state. You wind up like Van Gogh's ear. No, lock him in a room and don't let him out.
Got it. And what if I'm locked in the room with...
Oh. I'm following this case. Usually I struggle a little bit, and like not because the cases are difficult. It's just I'm more focused on like the team than like following the cases. This case, I'm very interested. That's so funny. I was like, oh, I don't want it to be her. Like I wanted to be the professor, and it was. So good job, me. I love writing television, but oh my god, to see her tied up in the stairwell. First, okay, there were so many like things that just like being raised religious, it's like, oh wow. So them going down to the crypt and all the statues covered, and then like Gil flinching and turning his flashlight onto I don't think it was a Sacred Heart. I will look up the name of what Madonna it was, because I know the statue. But like him turning the flashlight on the statue and it was a statue and not her, and like that was like very jarring. And then to see the nun like tied up in the like the crypt, not the crypt, what is it called? In the staircase, seeing the nun tied up in the staircase was just like terrifying. Only because like, not only because like it was a nun tied up in a church, but also because like seeing women like that is like a very vulnerable thing. And then when they revealed the painting, I had to interrupt the show and talk because the way it was painted in the Madonna was all like blacked out, and just the streaks of paint running down was terrifying. The only thing I'm confused on is like, how was Sister Agnes like helping him restore the painting and didn't realize that he was just like smearing like paint across it? Like, I don't know anything about like art restoration, but like I thought it was just like you revamp the like varnish, like the finish on the painting. I don't know. I mean, like you do have to do touch-ups, and you have to like sometimes like fix like the actual canvas, but I don't know. I don't know anything about art restoration. And then he came at Malcolm with the stained glass. Oh my god. Oh, and I don't know how I forgot this, but the scene between Malcolm and the Archbishop was really sweet.
It's okay. You're hallucinating. All that old paint. You came into contact with lead.
I'm manipulating the paint with my fingers to achieve a classical effect. I made it beautiful.
It made you sick. Made you act out what you saw in that book.
No.
Think you're possessed, but you're not.
No.
This isn't real.
That's lovely, son. Your bedside manner is excellent.
Nice and calm. Jonah, listen to me. There's no demon inside of you.
I wonder if Jonah was a reference to Jonah and the whale.
Abaddon. The Destroyer.
Malcolm, you remember Friar P? What does it mean?
Your son is going to die.
Gotcha. Well, Malcolm, I don't think the top down's going to work in this instance.
What do you recommend?
Have Friar P give you an expert opinion.
Exorcism is the only way.
Exorcisms don't work. Possession isn't real.
No, but psychosis is. Now, you may not believe in exorcism.
Deep down, you know that evil is real.
Wouldn't be true of that. Okay. How do I perform an exorcism?
Just repeat after me.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Look, I know it's a crony plan, but it's all we've got, son.
We've got to commit to this.
Uliare potente mane Dei.
Uliare potente mane Dei.
Da onorem Deo et Patri omnipotenti.
Gloriam Deo et Patri omnipotenti.
Augusto, you gotta sell it.
Deus repellet. Deus vincit.
Deus repellet. Deus
God
vincit.
repels, God wins.
Dominus autem missitat infernum.
Dominus autem missitat infernum.
I see it now. The darkness. The evil. You have it too.
Born to say the words.
The power of Christ compels you.
Power of Christ compels you.
Hear it, believe it.
He's like crying.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. The power
What happened? Son? Son?
I finished the ritual.
All right. Well done, team.
Good job, y'all. Oh my god.
Need hope for backup? You come. You know exactly what I'm talking about. He identified himself.
This is bad.
Don't you hide behind that.
And not only worse. They made
damn day. For 10 years, I put my life on the line like every other cop here. But those guys didn't see that. They just saw a black man. They put a gun in his face.
You didn't even say hear that. This doesn't end unless we end it.
You're not alone, JT.
I have to protect my job, my family.
This is my family.
I know. I'll take care of it.
This is just how many times can we make Frank Hart cry?
Well, there she is. I'm glad you reached out. Another day I would have sent out a search party.
Yes. Wow.
Been a while since I was here. Since we were together.
Months. So much has changed. And somehow I'm busier than ever.
Busy. Jess, what is going on here? We were talking, we had plans. I thought we had a real thing going. I know you came to see me at the hospital. You signed the guest book. What happened?
I'm cursed.
You overheard Danny and me.
She wasn't wrong.
Also, that line from last episode in this
This
episode.
world that I grew up in, it has shattered me. And anyone who tries to get close gets cut.
That's not true.
You were stabbed because of me. And if we were to try this, if we were to... For real. I would feel that worry and guilt every waking moment.
What guilt? Jess. Jess, you saved me.
Then let me save you again. You should go.
This is the second time she has rejected him? That... I'm mad it happened, but I wanted it to happen. Like, I didn't want them to get together this quick. Oh shit, Ainsley heard.
How much of that did you
Ainsley's
miss?
dressed like a bisexual history
Not
major.
much.
Are you absolutely
Her
high-waisted
crazy
black
jeans,
jeans
cursed.
with a double belt and then a burnt orange 3-button
I
polo?
told you to be honest, and you were. You're a little broken. And I may be too. Which is why I'm not moving out. I'm staying here with you.
Case closed. Huzzah! Who knew Hans von Gersdorf was in the zeitgeist?
Thanks again for the help.
I obviously didn't do enough. What bothers you, my boy? Or you can tell me anything, my son. Come on.
Confess to a father.
Unburden yourself.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's just, I'm the one who decided to dispose of Ennicott's body.
Mm-hmm.
To lie to Ainsley.
Mm-hmm.
Cover the whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
That was me.
Yes, and...
Or maybe it was me.
How's that? You possessed me.
Well, isn't that what parenting is? Your mother and I, we have the power that compels you. I mean, usually to brush your teeth or pay your bills.
I don't
You
like
knew
this take at
exactly what your sister
all.
needed. You knew how to save her. Because of
You.
And while on the phone, Martin like could manipulate and guide Malcolm.
Because you're a part of me. Well, why, yes, I am. You haven't always appreciated that, but
I'm coming to terms with it. And that's a good thing.
Son, I'm speechless.
It's not a good thing for you, Dr. Whitley. See, I know you're there now. And I can lock you up. Tune you out. Even leave you behind.
That's where I felt out of place.
You're in trouble, Martin.
It's my son. It's been my mission these many months to shore up our bond.
What, my son?
My boy. He needs me now more than ever, and there is nothing I can do in here. Trapped behind these walls. I gotta get out of here. I gotta be free.
I have a Bible study. A service for the faithful who are interested in Exodus. Perhaps you should join our flock.
Exodus. I also share.
I was just a kid. Dad was a serial killer. He was in that closet trapped for 3 days.
Didn't ask your mom back. Student government?
Kids would do this. The kids here might make something.
They have to escape. So you plan on all that. Exodus. I'm home.
Untitled Son, next Tuesday at 9 on Fox.
That preview for next episode. So much is happening. That's so much quicker than I thought it was going to happen. I thought Martin was going to try to escape for at least a few more episodes, but like episode 3, we're getting right to it. The preview for next episode comes on and I like suddenly forget everything that happened this episode. But wow. This is my favorite episode so far. I know we've only had 2 for season 2, but it was everything to me. It was everything to me. For a second I was worried that when Malcolm hit Jonah with the candlestick that like he killed him, but he didn't, so that was good. Or he didn't, we just haven't heard about it yet, but I feel like we would have heard about it, so he probably didn't. Gil and Jessica, like, it sucks to see it, and I'm mad because like I want them together. But also at the same time, like while that scene was playing, I was thinking to myself, and I was like, oh, like I really hope they don't get together after that. Because like, if I was in Jessica's position and I heard someone being like, oh yeah, like this woman who used to really matter to me said that like she hated this woman, I'd be like, oh, maybe I like won't date him. So I'm glad that from like a writing perspective, I'm glad that they're not together. But like as a fan, I'm like, oh, I wish they were. The scene between Martin and Malcolm at the end, I don't know where that thing for Malcolm came from. Like, I understand his dad is a serial killer, but for him to be like, oh yeah, I'm coming to terms with it, and like maybe it's because we were like the viewer was positioned with Martin in that scene, but I took it as like, oh, Malcolm was like I don't know why I took it like this, because last episode he was doing so poorly, but I took it as like, oh, like he's starting to come to terms, like, and like will be okay and deal with it. Obviously he's not though, but, and then for him to turn around and be like, well, I'm coming to terms that you're a part of me, so I'm gonna lock you out. Like, you couldn't do that last season. What makes you think you're gonna do it this season after you just helped him murder? Like, let's be real. And then I love that Martin like just hasn't been trying to escape. Like, he's been there for 30 years, and for him to just be like, I think I need to escape now. Like, I love that he was just chilling in Claremont. Though I guess for a while he wasn't trying to escape, because Malcolm was visiting him, and if he had tried, that like would have been taken away from him. But now that Malcolm threatened to cut him off, Martin needs to get out so he can still see Malcolm. And Friar Pete was like, oh, I have an Exodus group, and that's genius. That's just straight up genius to position the inmates as like those in need of Exodus. Really good. I'm excited to see what like the Bible study looks like, and I'm hoping it'll be like nice layered metaphors. I'm still not over that Madonna and Infant Jesus painting. That was just so messed up. I want to know, like, the people who work in and for the church that this episode was filmed at, I wonder if they're watching tonight's episode and like seeing all that going down and being like, we had mass there 2 days ago. 2 days, like, can you imagine? I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it had great comedic beats at the beginning with both Martin and Jessica being like, oh, is it sexual in nature? To see that like their parenting styles or their parental intuition is still the same, even though like they've spent years apart, especially when it comes to their kids. The emotional beats, specifically with what went down with JT, like him calling for backup and them just doing jack shit for him. That was particularly messed up, and to see the progression, I know it's only been 2 episodes, but to see the progression from episode 1 to this one to what I can only imagine is going to be carried over into 3 and hopefully more. I really hope they don't just use this as like a gag for like views. Like, I hope it's something that they go into and work with, and I know like Frank and Aurora were involved with like setting up this plot line, which makes me feel a lot more confident about it. To see, again, just seeing JT cry and seeing Frank crying so upset, like it hurts me as a viewer to like, because you always expect him to be like the strong one, and like he can't, and you can't always be the strong one, especially not when you're being victimized. And watching JT, Danny, and Malcolm like in the conference room watching Gail like screaming on the phone feels like when like you accidentally get your sibling in trouble and like you feel bad, and like you know that your parents are mad, and like to just see them mad and to see Gil mad, and like all 3 of them just sitting there like so somber, and like JT being like, I don't want to like do anything about it because like he felt like he couldn't, and like he's like, I need to protect my family. And then going back to Danny, and she's like, well, you guys are my family. It's just like a very interesting dynamic to see how it's affecting all 3 of them. JT the most, obviously, and Danny, and then Malcolm. But their interaction of Danny being like, well, I'm your family too, and like, and Malcolm being like, well, I'm here for you, that was just, it was really beautiful. And I'm glad that like brutality and systemic racism isn't being treated as a gag, and it's being handled carefully with the importance and the weight that it deserves and should be shown with. Christian Borle was phenomenal. I think for me this season, besides Tom, who's always like just bringing his A game, for me, I think Frank is going to steal this season, just because off of these 2 episodes alone, he's managed to go through like a variety of emotions, and he's pulled each one off so beautifully. And then, not to mention that he's like directly involved with the script, so be able to be on both sides of like that process. I think it's really benefiting him, and yeah, I think he's going to be my favorite this season. I wish Aurora was getting a little bit more screen time, but I'm sure that they're building up to that. But Christian's able to do that very detached, not zealot, but holier than thou attitude really well, and like his blank but like piercing stare is very unsettling. It's very good. I'm excited that he's going to be recurring. This episode was really good. The way it tied back from the premiere, but also like set up a lot of good things for next episode. I think that this season is doing a much better job of like being a little bit more linked between episodes, which I'm like a bigger fan of. Other than that, I can't even say other than that because like I have nothing negative to say about this episode at all. So I think that's it. Like unless I just want to like keep talking about how good the episode was, but I don't think I will. That's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next week.